Chairwoman Bice, Ranking Member Torres, members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. It is precisely at this moment when Congress is most overworked, when the issues are getting ever more complex. The committee staff are roughly 40% smaller than they were in 1980. When the support agencies, CRS and GAO and CBO, they've shrunk 45% in the last generation. Public engagement at this point really can sound like an unreasonable burden. Frankly, it's hard enough to field more than 81 million calls coming into Congress every year from constituents. Historically, let's be realistic, meaningful participation has been too expensive. It's been too time-consuming, and it's really lacked the structures that has made public contributions useful for institutions. The web has made it easier for everybody to talk, but that doesn't mean it's made it easier for our institutions in our democracy to listen. But in the state of New Jersey, what we've learned is that pairing the right artificial intelligence tools today with a disciplined process, with the right design, can actually make it possible for government institutions both to serve residents better, to deliver services, but also to listen and to govern. Not only faster and more efficiently, but also more inclusively, even at scale. And there are two recommendations that are outstanding, 176 and 174 from this subcommittee that provide a practical starting point for what we might do and for that transformation. So 176 calls for exploring ways to solicit public input for committee hearings. Long before generative AI, Brazil's Senate, larger than our own, began inviting residents to submit questions for committee hearings both by phone and on the web. Today, the Brazilian Senate has been integrating AI tools that are helping staff deduplicate comments, cluster similar questions, and highlight those that directly are relevant to a committee's oversight goals. Participation has been substantial. 46,000 questions across 546 hearings in 23 and 69,000 questions across 440 hearings in 24. Public input has become so routine that the staff report to me that when they don't get it in fast enough, the senators call them and say, "Where's my list of questions?" This subcommittee could begin testing Recommendation 176 through a simple, low-risk pilot conducted over the course of a few hearings that invite the public to submit questions. But look, until recently, the idea of putting up an open text box on the web and say, "Comment here," this was really an impractical idea. But AI now makes it straightforward to gather that feedback, not just by text, but by voice, to remove duplicates, to filter off-topic comments, to cluster questions into themes, and to synthesize learnings. I outlined the specifics of this process in the written remarks, but let me just add that my students in a program we call AI for Impact that we teach through Northeastern University and our community college system in New Jersey, they are embedded full-time with government partners. They just built a tool, a free open source tool called Open Feedback, which is being deployed at scale by the City of Boston. Residents can submit feedback in natural language, and the AI assistant responds with clarifying questions to improve the submission. The tool allows staff to organize comments by topic, to analyze patterns, and to route issues to the right department for faster feedback. The next AI for Impact cohort begins in January, and we'd be happy to adapt this tool for your use and to be of use. Through Innovate US, the free, nonpartisan, nonprofit, peer-to-peer training program that I founded, where government professionals teach one another how to use AI, and where we've trained 150,000 people around the country now in using AI to serve the public, we're learning from jurisdictions around the country, from the Engaged California Project, from the Bowling Green Engagement Project, from work we've done in New Jersey and around the world, about how different jurisdictions are using AI to do engagement at scale. We're turning those learnings into a training which we will be happy to provide on how to effectively use AI for public engagement. Of course, there are risks, and Congress must guard against hallucinations by ensuring that we're using AI to sort and to organize and not to make decisions. The greater risk is, of course, that we engage in ineffective or performative engagement that's disconnected from real decision-making. But these pilots, they create an opportunity, a practical and immediate way to tap the expertise and the lived and credentialed experience of the American public to strengthen lawmaking, to strengthen oversight, And to quote Michael, we all stand at the ready to assist. Thank you.